Welcome back to Spearo Diaries with Laura and Elise.
Two Kiwi mermaids talking about spearfishing and ocean adventures.
On this episode, we talk to our friend and generous Spearo,
Jeremy Viall from Learn to Spearfish and Wettie team member.
a man with many stories, known for his heart of gold and being king of Cuisine. We know you'll enjoy hearing this yarn.
Let's get into it. Okay, well, we are at the Spearo Diaries headquarters, together, not even long distance this time. Laura made the trip up. She drove for hours through terrible traffic of Auckland to come and talk to the king of Cuisine, a man with a heart of gold, Jeremy Viall. So welcome to the Spearo Diaries podcast, Jeremy.
Thanks for having me.
So Jeremy runs Learn to Spearfish as a weekly training session. Takes in anyone and teaches them all they need to know how to spearfish. Does a lot of pool training, has a wealth of knowledge, the warmth of Wettie, and just an incredible part of the spearfishing family in New Zealand. So yeah, we're just really stoked to have you here, and we appreciate you coming all the way at night time to come and meet us, all the way out in the Waitakares. It's a long way to go. We'd totally appreciate it, so thank you for being here.
That's right, it's a nice drive.
It is a nice drive.
I'm glad that we've finally got it together, because we had planned this for a few months ago when we went for a night dive with you, which is another episode, and a very juicy one at that. And we knew it would only be a matter of time until we got you sitting here in the flesh and having a proper chat with you. And we know, even though we've enjoyed many spearfishing related chats in the Wettie stall with you, and we were just talking before this about how we enjoyed our sort of first liveaboard Great Barrier Thor Charter trip that you organised. We've also been lucky enough to have some awesome experiences with you doing that. And Elise was lucky enough to go on an overseas trip with you recently as well.
It was, yeah. It feels recent, but it's probably almost a year ago now, wasn't it?
Damn near a year ago, yeah. Which was terrifying.
Feels like a year ago. Almost a year ago. We were sprinting our way through an airport, trying to catch our plane. I've just recently run out of my last purple cod. So yeah,
Me too.
The freezer is looking a little empty from beautiful tropical fish. So I'm hoping that one day we can refill that. Maybe we can hit some of the boys up and be like, hey, bring a fish back or two for us, eh?
Yeah, well, they're going this year, so hopefully they'll bring back some more coral trout. That'll be quite nice.
Oh my goodness, the coral trout of all the fish, I'm surprised, but because it seemed like it was like the most basic fish on the trip, but it honestly, when I got back, it was probably the most tasty.
Yeah, they're like the butterfish of the coral, but man, they are easily the best eating fish, I reckon, in the world.
Yeah, they hit different. Cool. Yeah, they hit different. They're so delicious.
Yeah.
And so I think the very first time I met you, Jeremy, I'd been given a $100 Wettie voucher to buy you probably won't remember this, to buy a mask, and it was probably during COVID times. So I was like messaging and asking about what to do with my mask, and then I came to the shop and you were like, yeah, try on this one. You don't need to try on any others because this one will probably fit you. Very accurately, actually, because it fit perfectly. We did try on all of the others just because I like to shop. But turns out the first one you offered was the one to go with. So
it's often the case. Yeah.
Yeah.
Get good at picking faces when you've fitted a few thousand people into masks.
Yeah. So it is. You're very well knowledgeable, and ever since then I've been asking you a bunch of questions every couple of weeks, spending all my money as much as I can at Wettie, so thank you very much.
It's no problem. I'm always happy to help.
I don't know if you'll be there tomorrow, but I'm going in tomorrow. Got to get all my gear checked, fixed, re-rigged, sharpened, all the good things. That's when I usually see you the most. But now that I'm not living in Auckland, I'm actually been really missing my visits.
We don't see you at all anymore. But I will be there tomorrow. So
beautiful. Well,
Laura's about to go to Rarotonga, so she's going to have her first tropical trip, which we will all hear about in a few weeks' time.
Yes,
very exciting.
We're not jealous.
Not even jealous.
Not even.
Yeah, we're not in our
You
down
guys got to go on the Aussie trip last year. Well, I stayed here in the Auckland winter looking at pictures of great times, so I don't feel that bad about it.
Yeah, but still, it's, you know.
And speaking of Wettie, Darren, who's obviously your colleague, but more so your friend for over 30 years, he had heaps of amazing things to say about you when we obviously picked his brain for sort of doing a bit of research for this episode. And we also know this about you, but basically his summary, which was hard for him to minimise down into a few words, as he said, you're a loyal, lovely soul, and you always come with a smile, and you're a master of the kitchen with many other things, so we're really looking forward to being able to pick your brain about all of those different parts of your life and your views and experiences in spearfishing. So we are honoured to record your journey tonight on Spearo Diaries.
Awesome.
So I guess we'll just start where we always start, which is basically take us back, all the way back to when and how your spearfishing journey began.
So it started, I would say, probably the same way a lot of people did, with fishing first. So I got into fishing at a very young age, well, a pretty young age. I was like 6 years old the first time I ever went fishing, and I was instantaneously hooked on it. But my dad was always into diving, and so they took me snorkeling as well, which, as the story goes, I was dragged kicking and screaming into the water, and then dragged kicking and screaming back out again. And then spent the rest of that summer bum up, head down in the rock pools and anywhere I could get my face in the water with a mask and snorkel on. So that was sort of just snorkeling. And then I remember one Christmas holidays, my dad went out with one of his mates with Hawaiian slings, and they came back in with all these fish that they had speared, and I just thought that was the greatest thing in the world. And so I always wanted to do it and was never allowed to. And then one day my granddad's neighbour in McLeod's Bay, which is up in the Whangarei Harbour, he was cleaning his garage out and throwing a whole lot of stuff away. And one of the things he was throwing away was this old, crappy, wooden Pro-Dive spear gun.
Sweet.
And I was like, "Are you throwing that away?" And he goes, "Well, yeah, thinking about it." And I said, "Can I buy it off you? I've got $20. And he was like, "If your dad says it's okay." So I went to dad, like, "Please let me buy it." And so he said I could. So I bought it, and I spent another however much fixing it up. And did that, and then got into the water, and away I went. Interestingly enough, the first fish I speared, I have never, ever managed to ever get another one, was a grey mullet.
What?
The first fish I ever speared was a grey mullet. And
Really?
I've never shot another one since.
Where were you?
In the Whangarei Harbour.
Wow.
How old were you?
I mean,
Well-
do you kick around harbours much now?
A little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, but even back in the Whangarei Harbour, I never managed to get another one. I was just
Really?
swimming along, and a whole schooling came past, and I just pointed the gun at the middle of the school and pulled the trigger, and one
how
danced
cool.
off with a spear in it. And then I shot a couple of Rory, and then I shot a couple of red moki, and then I shot a John Dory.
Sweet.
And after that, I was away.
Yeah.
That was that. And so I used that gun for about 3 or 4 years, and then my dad, I can't remember exactly whether it was through people he knew through work or whether it was through people we had met. I think Russell Nelson, who now works at Wettie, used to live just down the road from us. We could see his house from our garage, and we used
No
to
way.
always see him filleting these huge kingfish out on his filleting table outside. And my parents had struck up conversation a few times. So I don't know whether Dad met Darren through Russell or whether Dad met Darren through his work, because my father used to work for RFD New Zealand, which is marine safety.
Okay.
And Darren's dad was in commercial fishing. So
Right.
whether he met through that or whether he met through other means, I'm not sure. However, Dad met Darren, found out about the Bluefin Spearfishing Club, bought a proper spear gun, which was an old Picasso Century 110
Nice.
proper gun.
Yeah.
When I was, I think, 16, I got that, and I went along to the Bluefins, and then from there got basically taken under the wing of Darren, Russell, Reed Quinlan, and there was a couple of other guys, Dave Turley and Steve Hathaway as well.
Okay.
Took me out and showed me the ropes, and
Was Steve
off I went.
Hathaway of Bluefin?
Back in the old days, yep.
Holy heck.
Yep.
Okay.
So yeah, that was kind of where it all started, and I was also lucky enough that my teacher at school was Wayne Mullins,
Okay.
who, if you don't know who Wayne is, his son is Dave Mullins. And Wayne was a really good Spearo, and he used to run a class at Westlake called Outdoor Education. First thing we did on Outdoor Education was go spearfishing.
See, all the school teachers back in the day got to teach spearfishing.
Yeah.
Wow. Now we're not allowed yet.
Your kids one day might say, "Oh, my old teacher was Laura Guggeline," you know.
Oh, jeez. I hope I can bring that back. That
I
sounds
drew
awesome.
a picture of a fish and then I was away.
Yeah, Darren said that he met you as a schoolboy buying gear at Wild Blue and offered you a job, and flick forward 30 years or so, you were literally one of the oldest heads in the New Zealand spearfishing industry, is the way he explained it. And I've never heard the term oldest head, but now I'm like, I get it. That's a very...
You get a job at 16 in the...
No, I was 18.
18.
I was 18, but I had left school and I started working at the supermarket because I just didn't want to be at school. So I got myself a job at the supermarket. Well, I was already working at the supermarket, but I managed to get full-time employment.
Okay.
And then I was just talking to Darren one day about how much I wasn't really enjoying working at the supermarket full-time.
Fair.
I'd just done Outward Bound.
Yeah.
And it kind of changes your life perspective a little bit.
It does.
And
it does.
So yeah, I was like, I don't really want to be at the supermarket anymore. And Darren was like, oh, okay. And then a couple of weeks later, he was like, do you want to come work for me? I was like, yes.
That's amazing. So you went out with your teacher. That was your first experience. One of your first experiences. Did you do spearfishing in Outward Bound, or was that just like climbing, tramping, general kind of like Kiwi outdoors?
General Kiwi outdoor stuff. There's a little bit of water stuff, but we did it in winter time.
Okay.
So that was just bitterly
Was that
cold.
in Nelson or
Yeah, that was in
Motueka area?
That was in Marlborough Sounds.
Marlborough Sounds. Okay.
Yeah. So, it was
Lucky.
bitterly cold.
Okay.
But so no, not a lot of diving there. But yeah, so I think the thing, like when you're young, if you find out that you're good at something, you tend to want to keep doing it.
This is true.
And so doing outdoor education at school, there was 30 people in the class, and straight away got taken under Wayne's wing because I had an affinity to going and doing it. So I think I was the first person on any of his trips that he'd ever taken with the school that caught a crayfish. I was the first to spear a snapper. I was the first to spear a kingy on one of his trips. So it all sort of rolled from there, And when you realise, like I say, as a kid, when you realise that you're good at something, you will just want to keep doing it.
Yeah.
And so I just got super motivated, and then I went to work for Darren, and away I went.
Amazing.
Not even necessarily just being good at something, but like enjoying it and getting like a thrill from it and all of the other stuff that comes with it. But yeah, I can see why if you got exposed to that at a young age and had those other kind of role models around that were all about it and teach you all the tricks, it's a pretty enticing world to...
And finding out that you're comfortable in situations like that, everyone else is probably, a few other people in your class might be having a bit of a tough time, but you're like, oh, this is kind of my element. You kind of realise that actually you got a bit of grit.
Yeah,
this is where I'm supposed to be. Thank you, school.
Exactly.
The one thing I got from here.
Yeah, and I went back and I actually helped out on a few of the classes while they were still allowed to do spearfishing at school. On the camps that he did with the class and everything. I went along and helped out on a bunch of them just to give back because it was really that my dad and then Darren, and the Bluefins Club were where my love of the sport and what I learnt about the sport and learnt how to do the sport, that's where it all came from. So
wicked.
Which is why I do learn to spearfish. You guys are probably going to get to that question eventually, but that's why I do it, because people helped me when I was getting into it. And so I just, I don't do it to make money. It doesn't really make any money, but I do it to help people and get other people into the sport and make sure that people are doing it safely and make sure people are doing it in a way that they enjoy it and
like you said, return the fact that someone got you excited about it all by teaching you and spending time with you, so doing the same for other people, that's really
exactly.
No, that's
pay
really
it forward.
Honourable, and I can see why lots of people, when you before I really met you properly, you talk to people and everyone talked about how you do that and you run that and you don't just work at the Wettie store, but you're spending your time helping skill other people up. And there's a lot of people that I think in the Spearo community, once they've been doing it for a long time, they don't actually have a lot of energy and time for other people who are new.
There are a lot of people that just get their dive buds and that's who they stick with and they never talk to anyone else, and that's their experience of diving, hey? But then there are people who branch out a bit more and kind of try to give back a bit as well. And
well, I'd heard that there'd been a thing through some of the clubs when I started Learn to Spearfish that their attitude was no newbies.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, that's not a way to make a sport become something that, is long lasting. If there's no new people starting, it's going to die very quickly.
Yeah. We do have friends that joke about that. They're like, this is real cool, girls, that you're like, you've got a podcast, but would you just stop telling people about spearfishing? Because, like, we just don't want too many people.
Keep the fish to us. But I think, like, people like the three of us who didn't grow up with parents or family members really necessarily teaching you to spearfish, you value the people who did help you more, I think. That might be a big generalisation, but a lot of people I know who are, generational spearos, and they've had many, many years of it, but it's super cool that the both of you are then getting your kids into it. So they will become generational spearos, but I think when you come from a place of you didn't grow up doing it, maybe it's more likely that you want to help other people. Maybe that's just a perception I'm developing.
Yeah, and I think also you probably have that what I want to say, understanding of what it's like starting from scratch.
Yeah,
whereas if your dad already goes spearfishing and you just get in the water and start swimming with him, you're kind of just going to pick it up, especially if you've got any kind of affinity to the water. But if you start from zero, you understand how hard that is.
Yep.
And so you're a little more understanding of people when they want to start out, and you probably have a bit better of an idea of how to tell people how to start out too.
Yeah, because you can actually remember the tricky bits, not just like, well, I've been wearing a snorkel since I could breathe.
Yeah, exactly.
This is true. And I do remember over summer actually bumping into you at Goat Island when I was trying to lovingly force my children into liking spearfishing / snorkeling. Obviously, Goat Island, you can't spearfish there, but we like to put all the snorkels on them and try to be like, look, there's a fish, and get them all excited. But I think we were both on the beach at that point with our kids being like, and then once we joined forces, they thought it was the coolest thing ever. So it is like a little bit of like a kids leading kids thing, which is maybe we should do that more because we've got kids of the same age, and we can like sneakily make them love spearfishing by their own choice.
Their own choice.
Exposure.
Yeah.
So, Jeremy, do you think that your family or your parents influenced you getting into spearfishing way back in the day?
Yep, for sure. So, like I sort of said when I brushed over it before, watching my dad go out with a hand spear and with his mate and coming back in with a stringer full of, I don't even know what sort of fish they were. When they did that, that's just like a core memory for me. It's really, really stuck with me. And then when I wanted to take it up, and they were all for it and supportive of me doing that and put me into places and took me places where I could go spearfishing, at the expense of their own enjoyment on the water, because that took time away from fishing or whatever they were doing so that I could go spearfishing. And I was very lucky that my parents were super supportive of me getting into spearfishing, because it wasn't actually something that my dad was like super interested in himself. He liked scuba diving and that side of things, but the spearfishing side of things was never like a massive part of his underwater game. So but then I shot like my first John Dory, my first snapper, my first kingfish was all with my dad.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so he took me to places to go and get those things. So like a lot of my first achievements when I was spearfishing were with my dad.
Right.
And so when I finally got into the bluefins, my level was reasonably good already because of the work that I'd done spearfishing with my dad. And then even after that, allowing me to go, as a 16-year-old, to go away and go diving and spearfishing with people that they hadn't really ever met.
Some complete strangers.
Yeah, some complete strangers.
You're on a boat with these guns and random strangers.
Yeah, exactly.
It'll be fine.
They gave me the freedom, I guess, the leash to go and do that sort of stuff, and without their support of me doing that, I would never have been able to do it.
That's cool. That's really cool.
The other person who was just massive, I mentioned Wayne Mullins, who was my school teacher. He was a huge part of it. But the other one was I touched on it earlier, but I'm going to go into a bit more detail, was Darren. And now Darren's obviously my boss now. Darren is one of my best mates as well. And he has just been just a massive support for me in my life, alongside my parents.
Yeah.
His thing for me has always been wanting the best for me, but my growth in spearfishing, a lot of the stuff that makes me, I guess, as good as I am now is stuff that I've learnt from Darren. And the one thing with Darren, and you can attest to this as well, is Darren, from when I was a young fella, would take me out diving, get me into the water, never, ever, 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 ever charge me for petrol or want gas money. You offer it to him and he just wouldn't take it. And freely passing on his advice, take you out, show you how to hunt stuff. With Darren, I shot my first ever, big snappers I shot with Darren.
Cool.
Under Darren's wing, getting growled at for things we're doing them wrong, but then, all of a sudden...
learning very
well and very quickly, how to do things. So, I owe to my parents, my dad, and to Darren, that's where all my spearfishing stuff really comes from.
Yeah.
And then with Learn to Spearfish would not exist if it wasn't for Darren.
Right.
Darren was the one who got a hold of me and suggested that I get back into training people and, get back into diving, get back into training people, because there was nobody really doing it at the time. So, anyone that's been a part of or enjoyed anything to do with Learn to Spearfish, you really need to thank Darren for it, because without that phone call and his encouragement of me doing it, it just wouldn't exist. I wouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
So, he's super generous with his time, his advice, and then, his passing on of his knowledge to people in the water, and especially me. So it's huge.
That's a pretty special thing. He definitely sees the best in you. He thinks you're a bloody awesome person, and I think that he's I don't know, he can kind of just see certain things in people and is like, that person is going to go really well at that, and like for him to put that into you is obviously thinks you're a wonderful person.
He's put a fair bit of time to me into
yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard him talk about you, and I think every time he's talked about you, he's had a smile on his face.
Yeah.
He cares about you a lot, and he's
Well, I was going to say, it's not just me. Like I said, there's so many people that Darren has taken out and gotten into the water, but just spearfishing in New Zealand as a whole, owes a lot to Darren. The amount of time that he has given, both as a competitor and as an organiser of competitions, helping hand, managing teams, all of that sort of stuff. He's just a massive part of spearfishing in New Zealand. And there's so much stuff that's happening within spearfishing in New Zealand that just wouldn't be happening if it hadn't have been, for his ideas and things that he's come up with and put into place.
Yeah, and then coming up with the freshwaters as well, which he's putting a huge amount of time and effort into.
I mean, anyone who's done the Freshwater World Champs or been a part of it or won at the Freshwater World Champs, owes that, to Darren. It was Darren and Mike Maguire who came up with the Freshwater World Champs. Is their baby.
Yeah.
So if you become a Freshwater World Champion, you wouldn't have done that if it wasn't for Darren.
Exactly.
So,
it wouldn't have existed without them.
Just massive.
I know he said, I've heard him say before, Jeremy is one of the best people I know. He's a giving person. He's one of the nicest guys that you could ever meet, just one of the most genuine souls. So, yeah. And also, with the Australia trip last year, being able to get you guys, the whole Wettie team, over to Australia. How many bosses do that? That's so cool.
Yeah, his generosity to his staff is massive.
Yeah.
No,
he's
just massive.
Incredible person. So thank you, Darren, you bloody wonderful human being. You're very much appreciated in all aspects.
So many adventures that I've had in the last, how long I've been at Wettie for over a decade now.
Has it been a decade?
Yeah.
Because you're a decade, and then before that it was Wild Blue.
Yeah.
When you worked for Darren as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. So but it'll be over a decade now. So
we're so young.
Yeah, crazy, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So it's pretty spectacular, you know. And I mean, the weight loss journey, all this sort of stuff that I'm on. Darren was just a huge amount of support and encouragement through that too. There's just so much, you know, that he gives to me at least, you know, and everyone else around him, you know, that he gives freely, you know. It's huge.
Yeah.
You know? It's just been all sappy, but it's just true.
It is true. It is true. Yeah, he's an incredible person.
Yeah.
And if you ever go into Wettie, make sure you say hi and bring banana cakes and coffees. And not that anyone actually needs that, but it's delicious and
it's always welcome.
Always welcomed.
Cake is always welcome at Wettie.
Yeah. Are there any particular special days that you can remember as a grom going out with your dad to go diving?
I have lots, many of them. But probably one of the big ones was me shooting my first kingfish. So I would have been probably 15, and I still had my crappy little pro dive gun that I bought from the neighbour for $20, and we jumped in, or Dad chopped me in the water at Shag Rock, which you just would never do with a kid these days, because that place is shark central.
1,000 sharks there.
But back in the olden days, sharks didn't used to exist.
No.
And I was just swimming along, and then next thing I just had this vortex of kingies all around me. And I lined up on the closest fish, pulled the trigger, and the spear hit it clean in the gill plate and just left a white mark and sank to the bottom. And the kingfish just swam away like nothing happened to it. And so I went back to the boat, and I was pretty annoyed that had happened. And this would have been probably in maybe early December. So, and I would have been 15. And my birthday is on the 27th of December.
Ooh,
we were away
time.
camping. And got to my birthday, Dad comes out, and here's a new 110 Picasso, you know, spear gun, like a proper spear gun.
Wicked.
And
exciting.
Best birthday present.
Yeah.
Parents, you want to get your kids a great birthday present for their 16th birthday? Spear gun.
Spear gun.
So I was so stoked.
Change your life. Spear gun.
So stoked. So I got my spear gun, and I went out. We were in Waikowau Bay, Coromandel, and unfortunately didn't really get to use it because of storms and all that sort of stuff. But anyways, the school year started, and we'd only been back to school for 2 days, and then Dad just, at the end of the second day of school being in, just goes, "Hey, tomorrow, let's go try and shoot a kingy."
Awesome.
And I was like, hell
Best
yeah.
dad move ever.
Yeah, I'm into it. Because the sixth form dean at the time was Wayne Mullins.
Okay.
He was also into spearfishing.
Perfect.
So when I told him, he was like, yeah, sweet.
Yeah, off you go. Sweet.
Tell me all about it tomorrow. And so we went out back to Shag Rock, because that's where we'd seen them before.
Yeah.
Literally did a rinse and repeat of what I'd done the first time to see the kingies. Sure enough, score the kingies, rocks in. Within 2 minutes, bang, I'm attached to a kingfish.
Dreamy.
And I remember I didn't want to let the gun go because I didn't trust the float line, and I didn't want to lose my new gun. So I just skull fought this thing on the surface, and eventually got my hands on it and just threw it into the boat. And it was 12 or 13 kilos, and it was still very much alive.
Oh.
So all I could hear was my old man cursing and carrying on, trying to get this thing under control because I just yeeted it into the boat. But eventually we got it. And the level of stoke from my dad was massive, from me was massive, but it was just such a cool memory getting pulled out of school to go and get this kingy. And then it can't have been, it feels to me in my head at least like it wasn't much after that, and I'm pretty sure it wasn't. Dad, he used to work for RFD New Zealand, and there was a fishing competition on down in the Bay of Plenty. So we went down there, stayed at some friend's house, and same sort of thing. Dad towed the boat down and was like, while the fishing comp's on, we're going out. So we went out to Mare Island and jumped in at this little spot, jumped in the water, did a bit of a ground bait, and I ended up shooting a snapper and a poor-eye, and I think a trevally, and I think it was my first of all three of those.
Wicked.
In that one place. So within a matter of days of each other, you know, I'd gone from being somebody who had shot a couple of things that weren't red mochi, but mostly red mochi, to all of a sudden I'd shot a kingfish and a snapper and a poor-eye and a trevally, and all of a sudden I felt like I was this real spearer, not just this novice who was out there.
Do you ever look at a red mochi again?
Nope.
Oh, yeah?
Nope, never again. Never once.
Yeah,
So,
there's more delicious foods out there, turns out.
Yeah, there is. I mean, they're good eating. Like, you
Yeah.
smoke them up, they're pretty good. But they've got a good oil content, so they do smoke well. But once you turn your attention to those other things, and obviously being part of the Bluefins Club and learning what the real key species, target species were, and all of that sort of stuff, then you roll from there. But that's that period of time, that sort of late summer, when I was 16 with my dad, was just massive.
Cool.
Yeah, so cool.
Wicked. What was it like? What was the Bluefins like back then?
Massive.
Yeah, okay.
Biggest club in New Zealand easily. Like, I think at that point the guys had grown it to Darren was the president back then, and I think they'd grown it to like 140 odd members.
Whoa,
Yeah.
like active members.
Active members.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's hectic.
Yep, that was my thing. You know, they had
That's a lot of friends with boats.
Yeah, that was the thing. They had a list of names with everybody's phone number on it that you got from the club, and if they had a boat, they had like an asterisk next to their name that they had a boat. And that was my thing. Like on a Thursday or a Friday evening, I'd sit on the phone and just ring up everybody who had a boat and be like, "Are you going out? Is there space for me?"
Amazing.
Yeah. No, it was huge.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, no, it was such a good environment, that club. It was, again, lots of the guys there also, you know, like there's Russell Nelson,
He's
Dave
still
Turley.
a part of it now.
Russell's back working at Wettie
Yeah.
now. Reed Quinlan, you know, who's still hardcore into spearfishing and still part of spearfishing in New Zealand, I think. You know, they were all guys that were more than happy or you know, freely gave of their time to take this bloody idiot grommet out with them on their boat and
they
take me
would have loved
spearfishing.
it.
So
They would have loved it.
so no, it was really, really great. The club back in those days was awesome.
Wicked. And it still kicks around now. It's
Yeah,
not as
Bluefins is
not
still
as vibrant as probably back then, but it's still got a real wicked crew. Like it's,
lots of good divers in that club,
Yeah.
and still a very proud spearfishing club.
Yeah, absolutely.
But,
I believe they've got a competition coming up. There's no date set, but they're towards the end of the year, which is going to be an exciting one.
cool.
Yeah, so once we get those dates in, we'll crack that out.
My competition days are behind me. I'm too old.
I don't know. You did try. Aren't you the squid slaying champion?
Yeah, well, yeah, there's that.
Yeah. Night diving squid slaying champion of Wettie.
Yes, true.
Okay, there's a trophy and everything.
There is a trophy and everything. Yes.
What is it about competing that you're over? You just enjoy being in the water, or
Yeah, I just like going diving and it being it's where I go to, like, for want of a better way of saying it, to like find peace and center myself and challenge. Like, a lot of it now is just about challenging myself.
Cool.
You know, and I'm, it sounds silly to say it, but I'm massively competitive. I hate losing, and I know for a fact that at least the top 4, 5, 6 in New Zealand will beat me.
Yeah.
And therefore, my ego just won't let me do it.
I don't know anybody like that. Awesome. What is your favourite part of spearfishing? Is it teaching new people, or is it, you know, the actual shooting of a fish yourself, or exploring new areas?
It's a little bit of kind of everything, right? Everything you just listed has its own, you know, little thrills and rush and what's the word I'm looking for that? Like, you get a good feeling from all three of those things. So, but I think my most, the thing I enjoy the most out of everything is getting into a piece of coastline or a piece of water that I don't know and figuring it out.
Yeah.
You know, and then when you hop into a place where you've never ever been before and you figure out where the fish are or where the crays are or where they both are, and you become successful in that spot, it's a very, very satisfying feeling, you know.
Yeah.
It's also really satisfying, you know, learning your own spots and going back to those spots and then producing fish for you, because you, as we were discussing before, you know that on the left side of this particular rock that's where, when the current's pushing this way, fish sit. But it's also really satisfying figuring a new piece of ground out. So that is by far my favourite thing. But I like taking new people out, and I get a real buzz. And I've always, to be honest, even with line fishing, gotten a real buzz out of other people achieving stuff.
Yeah.
I get just as much of a thrill out of somebody else shooting a really good fish as me shooting a good fish. Sometimes possibly more.
Yeah, that's true. I remember on that Aussie trip, I had been diving a few days already, and my sinuses were just kicking my butt. And like I remember not being actually able to get down more than a couple meters, maybe like 2 or 3 meters on like the 4th or 5th day. And me and you just went out and we got some crays and we just cruised and we got some wicked ass fish just on the surface. And I kept being like, oh, sorry, Jeremy, like my sinuses are a bit bung, like I can't dive deep today. I need to just kind of have, I mean, we're diving 7 days straight in deep water. But like, yeah, that day I was like, oh, sorry, Jeremy, like, you don't have to hang out with me, don't worry. And you're like, no, I'm loving it. And you're like, you're coming along, you like, you know, we shoot a crayfish and you help me pull it out. And yeah, it was just awesome. It was a real fun afternoon I think we spent together. It was
and
wicked.
that coral was real pretty. I think that was probably
stunning.
the most sort of not touched, but it was the most wild looking
Yeah.
coral I think we saw on the
I
whole
think
trip. Particularly that first little where you shot the first cray.
Yeah.
That was like awesome. All the big fan corals and staghorn coral and
Yeah.
all the big
That was like 300 kilometres, 500 kilometres north of Cairns.
300 k's.
300k north of Cairns.
Yeah,
Pretty far up there.
I don't think many people go there.
No, it didn't look like it.
It's a long way from everywhere. Yeah.
It was
Even the idea of shooting
spectacular.
crays is buzzy to me. Like, I can't imagine what you guys saw, but just the
Wow,
idea of
remember
shooting
I
the
was
painted
like,
crays.
why would you shoot a crayfish? We're going to grab it with your hands. La, 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 la. And then I realised immediately, Jeremy said, oh, look at these spikes. They will ruin you. And they'll go through your hands. So I was like, okay, I'll shoot them.
Yeah, the horns on a moderate coral or painted cray are just gnarly compared to what we get in our red crays. They're evil.
Yeah.
Plus, I take a perverse little pleasure out of shooting crays.
It's pretty
in the
fun.
coral. It feels naughty. It feels naughty. It feels like you're doing something wrong.
I don't like touching red crays. I love the idea of shooting a cray.
It's a little bit freaky trying to like choke your bands. That's something I've never, I don't know if I'll ever get used to that. Holding onto your bands as you shoot, like it's like, it feels weird.
I was lucky. My spear had a notch 3/4 of the way down, so I could just pop
clever.
my rubber off and.
Nice.
It may sound dumb asking this, but I presume that's to reduce the impact from your band power.
Yes.
Coral is hard and soft, so it's brittle. So your spear will punch through it, but then you can't get it back out again.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is
Alice.
why I left Jackson's nice new shaft deep in the reef. I'm so sorry. I tried to get it out for a long time. But turns out I learned how to choke my bands after fully powering through a crayfish into the coral.
Plus the coral's alive. Plus,
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of really dodgy stories, particularly of like noob spearo and stuff about people, like that's the most danger they've got in trying to get their spear out
Back
of
out.
coral
Yeah.
deep and holding their breath for too long and stuff. So I'm glad that
Yeah.
you guys didn't do anything
Well,
silly
you know,
trying to get a spear out. 'cause
It
it's
was
just a
pretty deep, It was at least 2.5 metres. So.
just a spear. It's just a spear.
But yeah, we did try for a long time. Sorry, Jackson, about the spear gun. Thank you.
He knows where he can get another one.
I heard he knows where to buy another one.
Well, one of our kind of questions we often ask people is something that's a specific ocean memory. It doesn't have to be like a day you went and got a specific fish, but just any kind of like ocean memory. It could be creatures, it could be a trip, it could be a fish, but open it up to any specific ocean memory that's impacted you.
Jeepers, I've got quite a few.
Hey, we've got the time. You don't have to just pick one, but even
You're allowed
like,
more than one if you want.
Yeah, most people have a few that pop up, and some are negative and some are positive. So whatever.
Well, a negative, it's funny you say that, because when I first started spearfishing, literally the first time I hopped in the water with my brand new big flash spear gun that I'd got for my 16th birthday, my dad took me to a spot, I couldn't even tell you where it is, I know it's up north, and we hit the water and we swam out through this gut. We got outside the gut and shot a couple of fish. I think it might have been blue mau and a trevally, I think. And then we turned around to come back in again, and there was actually quite a big swell running, and it was pumping onto the coast quite hard. And as we got in through the gut to get back in again, my dad got through, and I got caught in a bit of a rip sort of undertow, and I got banged onto the rocks, went pushed up the rocks by the swell, and then as I got dropped back down again, it turns out there was actually an undercut back under the rocks, and I got pulled under.
Yeah.
And all this with a loaded spear gun that wasn't attached to a float or a float line. And then, so by that point, you're just in utter panic station. So and both of my legs had cramped up. No, I'm good. Both of my legs had cramped
running
up.
out of breath.
Yeah, all that sort of stuff. And all I can remember was white water. Just white water, and being completely freaked out. Somehow didn't let go of my gun, somehow found my way back up and out from underneath the underhang, and the next wave pushed me back up on top of the rocks. And all I wanted to do was get my gun out of the water so I didn't lose it. So I went to throw it up on top of the rocks, and it caught, and I caught, and I was like, oh, I can use this to get out of the water. So I just grabbed a hold of both hands, and the wave receded, and next thing I'm just dangling off the front of the rock.
Oh my gosh.
And then the next wave came through and hit the bottom of my fins, and it gave me enough lift to push me up and out. So that was quite terrifying. So I lay on the rocks for about 20 minutes just trying to get my breath back and get my heart rate down and my legs to stop cramping and get my fins off and work out where I was bleeding and all that sort of
Thank
stuff.
the many gods that protected you or
Yeah.
whatever.
And then as you kind of sitting there, I could just hear screaming on the beach. It turns out my mum had seen me go down and hadn't seen me come back up.
Oh.
And my dad's in the water, like hunting for me, freaking out, trying to find me. So I eventually unloaded the spear and stood up and was like, I'm okay, I'm still alive. And got a bit of a growling, not that I'd actually done anything wrong. But for like nights and nights after that, when I closed my eyes to go to sleep, all I could see was white water.
Okay.
A thing that most people don't know is that for years after that, I would swim wide of white water when I was diving. I couldn't swim through it.
Understandable.
And even to the point where still now sometimes I'll be swimming through white water, I'll be like, oh, this is shit.
Really?
Yeah, I don't like it.
Oh, you
Okay,
have a
fair.
traumatic experience like that. Your brain's like, let's avoid this scenario again at all costs.
Like, I do it now, but I'm not a big fan of it.
Fair.
So that was a reasonably, what do you want to call it, formulative thing that happened. The first time I ever saw it, really, like the only time I've ever seen a really big school of kingies in clean water was off True Love Reef with Reed Quinlan.
Okay.
And that was, I don't know what the viz was like, it was more than 20 metres viz. And as far as you could see, down, left, right, was just kingies.
Oh my god.
Big
Wall to wall,
to wall, just kingies. And it turns out they were all big, because I dove down, picked one out of the middle, smacked it, stoned it, got it in the boat, gutted it out there, got it home and weighed it, and it was 28 kilos.
Holy
That was
hell.
just the average
It
size.
was nothing special. There was monsters at the bottom of that stream.
Wicked.
Like, down deep, there were some real big fish. Wasn't experienced at that point enough. It had shot quite a few fish at that point, but not enough experience to kind of hesitate and look and,
Yeah.
oh, there's bigger ones down there, and go and shoot one. I was like, that one will do, bang.
It's pretty overwhelming when there's even like 30 kingfish.
Well,
I
and
can't
you can
imagine
screw it
being
up
at
too
every
by-
left, right and centre.
By panicking as well, you can
Yeah.
screw it up. So, and that was it. Then the school dissipated, and that was that. Nobody else got one for the rest of the day.
Wow.
But yeah, that was pretty amazing, just seeing a monster school of those. And then the rest of them, are more to do with like getting my daughter in the water and her overcoming her fear and falling in love with the ocean, and then shooting her first fish. And she's now proudly calls herself a Spearo.
Love
She's
that.
out there,
it.
and that's become part of her identity. And just seeing all that happen is super cool as well.
Wicked.
Seeing whales and swimming with dolphins and swimming with orcas and
Have you swum with orcas?
Yeah, they've swum with me. I've had them swim up to
I
me.
reckon that's going to happen this summer. I'm pumped for it.
It's pretty amazing. It's pretty
Yeah.
hazardous.
Pretty scary
I've
as
been having
well.
dreams about diving with orcas lately.
Scary as in, like, all of a sudden there's just this huge thing there, because you can
Yeah.
hear them underwater. You could hear them clicking and squeaking and all that sort of stuff. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh, that's really... I was snooping snapper, so I was really shallow. And all of a sudden I was like, that's really loud, and looked to my left, and holy moly, look at the size of that thing. And that was just a cow, and then about
Amazing.
30 seconds later the bull came past, and that's just a different level of enormous.
Yeah.
Probably the other thing which we were talking about before was seeing that great white, which I know you can relate to. right?
Yes, at Great Barrier.
At Great Barrier.
I was wondering if you're going to say
Yeah,
that.
that was pretty... Yeah, I don't need to do that again, but I'm glad that I've seen one.
Yay for the experience.
At the time you don't feel grateful, eh? At the time you're like,
No.
cool.
No,
you can get me.
A good mate of mine has a phrase for that sort of stuff. He calls it type 2 fun. So that's the type of fun that's not fun at all when it's happening, but afterwards you're like, yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But that's it there. They're just a different level of
Do you want to tell us your story of how that happened?
Yeah. So we'd been out to the barrier I had a group of people out at the barrier, and we'd had a really good day. And the weather had sort of made us go back to a spot where we'd started the day in the morning, and we'd got a couple of kingies there and a couple of nice snappers. So we went back there, and it was probably 5:30, 6 o'clock. Oh, no, it would have been a little bit earlier when we got there. And we swam out and found these big, nice bombies out offshore, and eventually I think one of the guys shot a rat kingy, and we had a couple of big bronzies come around. And being newer divers, they got a bit spooked by that, and they were like, we want to go back to the boat. And I was like, that's cool. Swum them back to where the sort of main point was, and then left them from there. And I was kind of in my head doing a little victory dance, because there was a nice bit of coast that nobody had swum down, and I was like, I can go hunt some snappers now. So, so off I went and snooped along this bit of coast, and basically the situation, to paint a picture, is there's the whirl that comes down from the main island, and then there's like a gutter that comes back up to a whole row of bombies. And so I snooped down the bombies, didn't get anything, turned around, I was snooping back up the wall, and I just spooked a really good snapper by dropping my drop weight and it clanging off the rock. And I was kind of mentally giving myself an uppercut for that, and all of a sudden all of the bait just spooked. There was a whole lot of koharoos and blue narmouth and stuff hanging around, and then it just spooked. And I was like, oh, cool, kingies. So I looked over my shoulder, and it wasn't kingfish at all. It was a, 3.5 metre great white between me and the row of bombies. So almost like caged in.
How far away do you reckon?
4 or 5 metres.
Yeah.
In
Was it like
8
side
to 10 metres.
profile?
Yeah, side profile, just swimming up the gutter that I was in. And
you're sure it wasn't a 7-giller?
it definitely was not.
Wasn't a sea lion?
No.
Sure it wasn't a bull?
This was good enough to see it extremely clearly.
We're not taking the piss out of you, we're laughing because that's the questions I got asked.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
But don't worry, it's a different colour. I know what it was.
It's not even the fact, it's none of that. It's the different intestinal feeling you get when you see a great white. I've swum with lots of sharks. None of them made me feel that way.
No.
It's a different level of...
None of them made my soul leave my body.
Yeah, man.
That's what I felt.
Through your butthole.
So I just got my gun between me, because there was no way out. I had no exit from the water. I was on a sheer wall.
Was it pacing back and forwards?
No, it was just cruising past. I mean, look, if it had wanted to eat me, it would have eaten me before I knew it was there.
No, you wouldn't have seen it coming.
Not that my brain told me that at the time.
You suddenly feel like not a predator anymore. Hey?
No, you feel exactly that's
Your
right.
way out to swim along the coastline back to the boat was quite a distance as well. Like you would have had to.
Yeah, I couldn't see the boat.
Yeah, that's not a great feeling.
No, and I was by myself, and at that point it would have been 5:30, 6 o'clock in the evening. Now, admittedly, daylight savings, but we were on the shadowy side of the island, so it was pretty gloomy in the water as well. And this thing, I got my gun between me and it, because that was kind of the only defence I had, and just sort of stopped and just watched it. And fortunately for me, well, kind of, up in front, you could swim through the area up in front, but effectively it turned into a dead end. You know, it was only maybe 1.5 meters deep, and I was like, there's no way that thing is going to swim through there. But fortunately, just before that, there was a bit of a break in the row of bombies and a gap of maybe 5 or 6 metres that it could swim out. And so in my head, I'm just going, please just swim through the gap and go away. Don't turn around, because if you turn around and come back towards me, that's going to be really terrifying.
You didn't want to pull an Ocean Ramsey and swim alongside it and
just
redirect.
Touch it on the nose and redirect.
Lock your elbow.
If it had got too close at that point, I probably would have redirected it with 7 feet of steel through its head. But anyway, it didn't come to that, because it turned and went out through the gap and disappeared, and I was like, yeah, it's disappeared, and then I was like, oh no, I can't see it anymore.
Yeah.
Now I don't know where it is. And so that was a very long and quite nerve-wracking swim back to the boat.
Yeah.
And then of course,
describe that as harrowing.
yeah, I did a lot of 360 looking.
Yeah.
And then I didn't want to let on that I'd seen a great white, because
you've run out.
You get back to the boat and you've got a bunch of newbies.
Yeah.
You're like, Hi,
How many days of the trip test did you have left?
We only had the morning dive the next day, but still, I knew that if I'd said that, half the crew just probably wouldn't have got the water the
We're
next
like,
day.
hey, Captain Jake, mind if we just cruise a bit further away?
He knew something was up because he asked me what was wrong, and I was like, "No, I'm all good." And then later on in the evening, I was like, "Yeah, I saw a big great white." He's like, "I knew there was something wrong with you when you hopped out of the water." But the feeling was not like it was a euphoric feeling when you hopped out of the water. I was like, one, I'm not dead. I didn't get eaten, and that was a pretty wicked encounter to see that thing in the water.
You start to process once you know that it's not going to eat you.
Yeah. It can never happen again, and I will be extremely happy if it never happens again. I don't need to see that again, but I'm glad that I've seen one.
Yeah, the way I feel now is that I'm like, hey, there's a bunch of people who probably want to see them, and looking back, it's a pretty mesmerising creature to witness an apex predator that close to you, but you don't process it till later.
No, you don't process it at the time. You're just like, I now feel like I'm food.
But I think the thing that I don't know, the thing that I thought when I saw one was just like, I think I was just blown away by how sharp the lines were. I was like, man, they've got such sharp lines on them.
Its mass was what got me.
Yeah, okay.
Because I've seen big bronzies.
Yeah.
Big bronzies are just nothing.
Yeah.
Compared to you can get everyone says they see 4 metre bronzies. They actually, I don't think, get much bigger than 2.5. But a 2.5 metre full-size bronzy would weigh about a quarter of what a 3.5 metre great white weighs.
I kind of picture bronzies as like annoying but sometimes cute but sometimes annoying street dogs who are just trying to look for a feed, and then like a great white or a mako is like a tiger walking past.
Yep, that's exactly it. I've been in the water with a big mako.
Yeah.
A couple of them.
Yeah.
Not the same.
Not the same?
Not the same.
The energy's different, eh? Like, we saw the juvenile great white at the Cavilli Islands at me and Elise and our other friend and stuff were together, and it was smaller, but there's a different energy about them. They don't behave the way bronzies behave, so it's just interesting. Of course they don't, they're a different species, but...
I've never had it happen to me because I've never been there, but I can only imagine that it would be the same as if you're walking along in Africa in the grassland and next thing a lion pops up. And I think the thing with it is, with bronzies to a degree...
Be careful of them for sure.
Yeah, Marcos maybe, and all the other shark species that we have regularly in New Zealand, you can generally control the outcome of your behaviour. You know, if you're aggressive towards them, they'll usually veer away.
Yeah.
You can do stuff like that. But with an apex predator like a great white, you are not in charge of anything that happens.
No eye contact. I don't think eye contact's going to do shit in that scenario.
All decisions are made by that animal, and you have to go for the ride with whatever it decides to do and respond to what it decides to do rather than you get to decide what happens. Yeah,
but like you say, very cool. And I mean, that definitely, there's a number of, I like hearing all of those because you can't just pick one. I mean, the different memories that you have in the water, like you say, seeing your daughter holding her porter or her pigfish is very different to witnessing a great white as opposed to seeing hundreds of kingfish. And I guess that's what makes the ocean such a special place, because every time you go, you don't know what these experiences are going to be like, and like you say, helping newbies and sharing those first with other people was a different feeling again. And
I mean, seeing Jake shoot that purple cod over in the coral was just, like I said, I got more excited about him shooting that fish than I did about me, even though I had always dreamed of shooting purple cod. I was more excited about him getting one than me getting one. And that sort of stuff, it just sticks with you.
Yeah, that was insane. That was such a good day. Oh my goodness, how many do you think we got? Like, because we got onto this...
We got a bit excited.
We got onto this reef, and they were like a herd of cows, herd of cattle dogs, and they were like, we were peeling them off at that point. I think we probably got like 10.
Well, the problem is when you have 5 divers diving in sort of different areas, nobody knows what the other ones are doing, and then you hop on the boat and you go, oh, we got quite a few, didn't we?
Pretty well.
We got a few of them.
But to be fair, like, I mean, you spend a bit of money on a trip to go to a wicked place that's pretty well out of the way.
Yeah.
It's not like it's a place that's hit all the time either. So
it sounds like it was pretty tricky too. I remember you describing like
what you had
to do to get down there and wait, and then they were hanging out in the cluster, so you're all taking turns.
Yeah.
I mean, you're an Aussie.
You're still laying down deep in the water and waiting for them to come in.
And the second, the third and fourth ones were wise at that point. They'd learned that if they got too close, they got smacked.
Yeah.
So they weren't.
Family members were being lost.
Yeah, you had to spend a bit of time on the bottom to coax those ones in.
Yeah. No,
Yeah, when you haven't had a species before and you're in another country, I guess it's a little different to your shallow coast near your home.
we respectfully ate them for a while.
Oh man, such good fish even out of the freezer. Such good fish.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because I remember we had purple cod. We had what was it? We had like a Hawaiian, almost mix fusion Hawaiian Mexican.
I made poke nachos. Yeah,
nachos with the purple cod.
Yeah.
But because on the boat everything's frozen at minus 50 degrees immediately, and then like cryovac, so that everything came out of the freezer was just
as good as fresh, pretty much.
As fresh as you can get. Yeah, it was perfect.
No, that was tip top. That's a memory that's etched in my mind, actually.
Yeah, that was good. I've redone that for a few friends, and they've loved it. Can you describe your ideal dive buddy? I know you and Jake go out quite a bit and got a bit of a...
Yeah, it sort of depends. Like, if they're new to the sport, you've got to listen. There is nothing more frustrating than trying to teach somebody who won't listen, and I apologise to any of my school teachers that are hearing me say that. There's nothing more frustrating when you're trying to help somebody and they're just not listening to what you're saying.
Agreed.
So if it's a new diver and they're willing to listen to what you're saying and they put that stuff into practice, brilliant. If they're not a new diver and they're a more experienced diver, like Jake and I work really well together because we almost instinctively know what the other one is going to do. So I've got another mate of mine who me and him have been mates since we were 7 years old, and we're a little bit the same, in terms of when we go diving together. I know what he likes to do, he knows what I like to do, and we don't get in each other's way and complement what each of us is able to do. So I don't know if I've got an ideal dive buddy as such, but it's just your ideal dive buddy is somebody who you've done a lot of diving with, who knows you really well, and who you get on with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have a giggle on the boat afterwards.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like you're saying, some of the people you've met through Learn to Spearfish have become some of your best mates. And I mean, if you click with people, then you want to spend time on boats with them, you want to spend time in the water with them. And
yeah, well, it soon sorts it out, right? Like if you're spending 3 days on a boat with somebody, it's a pretty captive place to be. So you soon find out what people are really like. Fortunately, I don't really think I've ever met in any of my trips and stuff. There's never been anybody who is, a dick or anything like that. Everyone's pretty good.
We've talked about that before, me and Elise, apart from one or two humans that aren't worth mentioning.
Yeah.
They
know who they are.
They know.
I literally used to always say, I still haven't met a Spearo that I don't like or didn't get along with. And I don't know if it's a shared commonality of what you're doing, or spearfishing just seems to draw to it. The activity draws to it. Bunch of legends, but who knows?
Well, I always used to say that us Spearos are a pretty weird bunch, but
the best kind of weird.
But they're all on the spectrum. Yeah, that's right. But I think and I say that lovingly, right?
Everyone's getting diagnosed out there. We're just getting diagnosed as Spearos.
yeah, that's right. But I think that it takes a certain type of person to get into that environment, and unless you do it, you can't understand it. So once people do it, they understand you and more about you, and you become kindred spirits. I think, especially if they take to it and really get into it, and they get the buzz like you do, you're going to get along because you're going to be very similar people.
Well, that slithers nicely into our next question, which is, what does it mean to you to be a Spearo?
What does it mean?
It's an interesting one.
I mean, some people wouldn't even use that label. They may be more connected to freediving.
Spearo.
I am definitely not a freediver. I wouldn't give myself that label at all. I think the two things are very different.
Yeah.
Some people have talked about how it's impacted their well-being. Other people have talked about the community. But just it's however you interpret that question. Being a Spearo.
So when I was younger, and like I said, I did it because I was good at it, and I liked the feeling of being really good at something. And then from sort of in my early 20s, I started, I got a butchery apprenticeship, but became a butcher. and I kind of didn't really have any time to go spearfishing. You work long hours and you're always tired. And also I met my wife, and she loves the water but didn't have an affinity towards spearfishing. So, but she loved fishing. So we did a lot of fishing together, and I would occasionally hop in the water and shoot the odd kingfish or go and get the odd cray or do that sort of stuff. But it wasn't until Darren was the one who actually approached me about getting back into teaching people and starting into spearfish. And once I got back into the water, the mental health benefits, which they're just massive. And once I got back into spearfishing, then, you'd get a bad weather patch and you spend 2 months where you wouldn't get in the water. You notice the difference in what type of human you were.
Yeah, I'm currently that human. I need to get back in the water.
Yeah, man, you just are, And then, when Ollie was born, my little boy, when he was born, he was really sick. I had, it was over a year before I got back into the water, and I got back into the water on a night dive with Darren, and hopped out of the water, and I just the next day, I'd had 3 hours sleep, and the next day it just felt like I was walking on clouds. I was just a different animal altogether.
Yeah.
So it's a massive part of my mental health, but it's also part of, I guess, what it means. It's a massive part of who I am. A spear fisherman, or a spearfisher person for those that are more politically correct. But yeah, that's sort of what it means to me. It's who I am.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you don't spend time doing it, you don't feel yourself. That's
exactly it. Yeah, you're not you if you're not doing what makes you you.
And so, speaking into your your mental health and giving yourself time, I guess being a Spearo dad, you've got 5 kids. 5?
5.
5 kids.
That's correct. 5 kids.
And and it's not been an easy journey for you as far as the kids go. Beautiful, all beautiful people, but have had a lot of health issues.
Yeah, well, the 2 boys are special needs, and so that's had its fair share of challenges. And the girls are not. So they're what we call NT, which is neurotypical. Well, sort of. Lucy's got ADHD, but they don't have any medical conditions, not like the boys anyway.
Yeah.
The boys have certainly come with their fair share of challenges, which you've got to work around. And I certainly don't get in the water as much with 5 kids as I did when I had 1 or 2 kids.
Yeah.
Definitely a noticeable difference in the decline of when I get to go diving.
Yeah.
But I am very lucky. I have fortunately, I have a very understanding wife.
Yes.
And also she really likes seafood. So
ideal.
It works out quite well for me.
And shout out to her for letting you come along tonight too, because we know that you would have had to arrange family things to disappear. And I know last time we came to your house and met the kids and her and had some dinner, but no, we appreciate you being able to steal some time away to talk about these things.
Yeah, for sure. And so with the girls, you've taken them diving quite a bit?
A little bit, yeah. Never get Lucy. So I've had Lucy and Zoe out a few times. Okay. Zoe's still not 100% convinced that she wants to go spearfishing. Lucy wants to go spearfishing all the time. Struggled a bit to get her in the water as much as I'd like.
Okay.
Just weather, to be honest, has been the big one.
Yeah.
Because she does get seasick. So
okay.
I got to give her props though. The last time I took her out with Rick out to the Aldermans, she went from spewing over the side.
Lucy to the Aldermans.
Yep. That's where she's done all of her spearfishing.
Oh.
She was. We jumped in on the pins out the back at McGregor's, and it was pretty rock and rolly. And I shot a kingy, and then everyone else was like, "We need to go." So I hopped on the boat, and I was like, "You right, Lou?" And she just puking over the side.
Oh, sweet pea.
And
I feel her pain.
Within 3 minutes of getting to the next spot, she was suited and booted and in the water, and
How old is Lucy again?
She's 10.
Okay. My goodness, we need
some sea legs.
I need to take my Evie Boo out with you. We'll go diving this summer when it's a bit warmer again.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? You've got to get it when it's warm.
Yeah. When
the weather's good, and we probably, I reckon we've had a pretty hard run of weather the last couple of summers, with wind and
besides from the summer we had this summer, we have had a big few.
I didn't even reckon this summer was.
Do you reckon? Oh my god, it was incredible. We had so we
probably had 3 or 4 seasons to compare to Jeremy's 4.
We had 3 or 4 weeks where it was just insane.
Yeah, 3 or 4
Like-
weeks, but God, man, I remember summers when you dive every weekend.
Yeah,
Imagine,
okay, fair enough.
So, yeah, this was I didn't think it was that great, in terms of the weather this summer. Not up here anyway. I know other areas like, old Rowan from Wettie Southland, he was having a great time down there. They had magic weather down south,
Okay.
but we had lots of easterlies.
Like how you were saying to us when we went night diving, that one of the reasons you night dive is because it's accessible with your family schedule.
Yep.
I guess when you're trying to take Lucy out, she doesn't really want to go night diving on a school night at midnight, does she?
She's keen. She's keen. She wants to go. She's dying to go. I did promise I'd take her when she's 10, so I'm probably going to have to fulfil that promise this year. But yeah, I am what I would call, I'm not a trophy hunter or spearfishman. I never have been. Like, if a trophy fish gets up in front of me, of course I'll shoot it.
Yeah.
And I, I've shot my fair share of decent fish, but I go out to get food.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going out there for. I'm a subsistence hunter and spearfishman. So when I go hunting on land, I'm going out to get dinner. So if the first thing that pops out in front of me is a hind, I'm going to smack it. The first thing that pops up in front of me is a 12-point stag. I'm also going to smack that.
Yeah.
And be stoked that I got it,
Yeah.
but I'll be equally stoked that I shot a hind as well. Same when I'm spearfishing, If it's legal sized and it's a target species, I'm going to put a spear in it. Unless I've just shot a big fish and then I can be a bit more fussy about what I spear. But if it's a legal fish and it's the first fish of the day, I'm going to shoot it.
Yeah.
I'm not fussy about what I shoot. And I'm equally happy shooting a 40 centimetre snapper as I am shooting a 6, 7, 8 kilo snapper. Because I'm bringing home dinner. That's the thing.
Yeah.
For me. So, yeah, that's my thing on it. So night spearfishing for me is not about going out and smashing a whole heap of fish. It's just an easy way for me to go and get something to put on the table. You get lots of squid, which is different, and it's accessible around the kids going to bed.
Yeah.
And, all that sort of stuff. I'm not losing family time to go spearfishing.
Yeah. And key thing there, squid.
Squid.
How good.
Calamari and venison together.
Yeah.
You've
Oh
put
my
many
goodness.
pictures up of it, and I'll never forget. I still haven't tried it. I need
venison
to do that.
calamari lollipops, they're pretty awesome. Yeah.
Well, I'm hoping to get out on a night dive next week so I can go get some squiddies. So,
Yes.
yeah, I mean, we can chat about that.
Yes, well, we obviously asked before about like memorable ocean memories, but one of our sort of classic questions is the Spearo Diaries diary entry best day diving. So if you had to choose one particular day that is your best day diving, which story?
Elise knows what my
Yay.
best day diving is.
You know,
because
I
she was
know.
there when it happened.
Well, I've got on this list Purple Cod, Great Barrier Reef, Great Barrier Island, Fiordland, all this.
It may be none of those.
So I'm going to presume
No,
it was the Purple
along
Cod.
that same trip, maybe.
Yeah, it's so that all of them are amazing. Like Fiordland's incredible, but yeah, that Great Barrier Reef trip, the day of the Purple Cod, and
Oh my gosh.
for me, I ticked off a whole bunch of target species all in one day.
Yeah.
but
Just not a
that's-
tusky though, eh?
Yeah, it's gonna make me cry now.
Keep going,
Make me
yeah.
sad and depressed. No, but yeah, that was just an exceptional day diving, and look, I said it at the time, and I'll say it again. Like, there's one other one which I'll talk about as well. But
Okay.
your best days on the water, yeah, that's the diving, that's amazing, but it's the people that you're with as well. So with you and Jake and Lark, Doc.
Yeah, we had the duck.
and Long John.
Yeah.
All we did was laugh, talk shit on the boat, and kill a whole heap of really quality fish. On board that boat, and fish that a lot of people, even people who have access to that area, don't get to spear.
Yeah.
So,
There were a few dreamfish species that were
Yeah,
just
big
coming out every flipping second.
and those purple cod for me were a fish, like I said at the time. Like, I've been reading Blue Water Hunter or Blue Water magazine since I was 13, 14 years old, and you could not hear, but you could read the reverence that they were held in.
Yeah.
And always, even since then, I was like, man, I want to shoot one of those. So the fact that I got to shoot a bunch of them in one day, and then go and shoot a coronation trout, and then go and shoot Spanish mackerel.
That coronation trout was spectacular also.
You know, and then a big Spanish mackerel, a big coral trout, and all those moo and stuff, and it was just a magic day. It was just such a great day.
We were lucky, eh? It was so nice. And such beautiful temperatures. I remember before we even left New Zealand, you were like, I want to get a purple cod.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know what that is.
You do now.
I do now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it turns out they're pretty lovely.
I like that you say though, like it's not just about, I got this fish, and I went to this fancy place. It's like you're saying, it's the people you're with and the whole experience of all of that, and as a feeling, right? And it stays in your mind how special the whole day was.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because you can have an amazing day's diving with people who are not cool.
Yeah.
And it's not that great a day. You know,
I think that day, I think before that, I was feeling pretty proud of myself that I got a Spanish mac, and I was like, because we made it a fun thing, a little wager, and I was like, I've got a Spanish mackerel, come on, go. And then Jeremy comes and brings his one on the boat, knocked mine out the water, and I was like, oh well, that dream's over. Jeremy's got a massive one.
There's a bit of luck involved in that fish, though, to be fair.
That was a beautiful
I don't know
fish.
what the hell it was doing where it was. But anyway,
It just swam into
spend
your
enough time in
shaft.
the water and spend enough time going up and down.
Yeah.
Stuff will happen eventually.
It was impressive. I was like, holy hell, okay, well, I guess he's getting that $10. Well deserved.
The other one was a day I went diving with the Klein family, and they were they're a family who are friends of the shop and Darren and what have you, and so it was the father and then the son, younger son, daughter, and their cousin, I think, or nephew.
Okay.
And so they were really keen to go, and I had the trip all organised. And then about 2 days before the trip, we're busy at work, working away, and in through the front door of the shop comes like one of my childhood heroes was Mills Muliaina, right?
Yeah.
100 test All Black.
Right.
Walks in the door and is like, I want to buy some spearfishing gear. It's like, okay, let's put you in some spearfishing gear then.
You're like, take it all.
So we sold Mills some spearfishing gear, and then he started talking about going diving, and I just was like, well, I'm going diving on the weekend down Coromandel if you want to come. And he was like, yep. And I was
Sweet.
like, oh my God, I'm going to go diving with Mills Muliaina. This is going to be awesome. So I quickly got a hold of the clients and said, hey, I've got one extra person coming. And they were pretty excited about that. Now, if you're taking 100 test All Black out for his first ever day's spearfishing, you want it to be pretty good.
You do.
So we got out to the Aldermans, we got to the very first spot we were going. As we got there, Rick was like, oh, there's kingies on the top of the rock. And so from the boat, you could see the yellowtails.
Wicked.
So we hit the water, saw it to the front, just two of us jumped in, got schooled instantly, bang, bang, one each. Like, oh, that's cool. So everybody hops in the water. And so we're all swimming around, and next thing, Mills is swimming next to me, and we're just sitting together, cruising up the current of the rock, and I look down underneath us, and underneath us is this kingfish. So I just go to Mills, go shoot that. So Mills dives down, bang, first fish he ever shot.
Of course.
Nice kingy, straight away.
Of course it is.
Right?
Wicked.
So
This is how it is every time he's thinking.
Yeah.
Easy peasy,
Don't
crazy.
Jeremy, it's not just Wales, everyone. Anyone who takes out.
So that was pretty incredible. And then we went to another pin, and this one's way out the back, out in really deep water. And as we got there, it was exactly the same situation. You could literally see the kingfish tails breaking the surface on top of it. We got there, and it was just this whirlwind of Kawai, big trevally, kingies coming through all the time. Everybody got a kingy. The young fellow on board got his first kingy. Mills had got one. We got a couple of nicer fish, and then I actually dropped down into the gutter looking for pinkies, and the school of kingies came past, and there was a really good one in the middle, so I smacked that, and that was just short of 30 kilos.
Yeah.
So I've got a pretty cool photo of me and Mills standing there holding these big kingies on the back of the boat, and that was the whole day. Like the Klein family are really, really nice people, so they were just all about it, and everyone was frothing, of course, because when you've
How
got
do you
action
spell their
like that,
last name? Are they related to me in any way? Can they be my cousins? Who are
possibly,
they?
I don't know.
Elise
That's her
Kleins.
other last name.
Elise Kleins.
Kleins, maybe.
Yeah, Kleins. I dropped the S. I'll be your
With a
best
K?
friend.
Kleins with a K?
No, no,
yeah.
okay. They've got the underline.
Yeah.
Damn it.
But yeah, so that day, was just an incredible day because really nice people. Mills is a great guy. He diving with like I say, a 100 test All Black on his first time spearfishing. He shoots a really great fish straight off the bat.
Cool.
It was just a brilliant day out on the water, and that's, like I say, will be a day that I'll remember forever.
That's amazing.
And the same for him too. Like,
remembers.
regardless of your level of paid or unpaid sporting prowess, I mean, you're still showing him something that you know how to do that he doesn't know how to do, and you know, everyone's just somebody in the water.
Incredible though, watching somebody who's like a professional athlete take to a sport and just understand what to do.
Yeah.
Like, just bang.
Like, this is how you work your body in the water.
Yeah. And just go, you know.
Yeah. I'm sure people think that about us.
Oh, yeah, finely tuned athlete.
100-time athlete.
So, going from there, why did you decide to start running charter trips and pool sessions? Was it like moments like that kind of captured you, or you just wanted to give back?
Look, I mean, my initial thing was I'd talked to Darren a couple of times about wanting to get back into spearfishing. But having been out of the game for 10 or 11 years, didn't really know anybody, and a lot of the people who I used to dive with had moved out of the sport or weren't doing it anymore. And then the opportunity came up. Darren was like, look, there's nobody really teaching anybody. So why don't you get into that, and then, you know, that will lead to you being able to, you know, organise trips and get people out on the water that way, and that'll get you into the water. And so I sat on that for a little while, and then just basically that's kind of where it all started from. So I started learning to spearfish, basically as a way, like I said, to give back to the sport, meet new people, and go diving myself.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of grown from there.
Cool. And you've got regulars that go to your Learn to Spearfish?
Yep, there are. I haven't been doing them for a little bit. I'm going to kick them back off again probably in October. But just had a few things going on at home. So, you know, to get myself right, I guess, in my own head before I go back in and start teaching other people. But yeah, there's regulars, there's new people. There's a really good mix of people who come along. You know, I've had people training, you know, once a month ever since I started the group, pretty much, you know. And some of the people I still have contact with are people who came along to the very first training session, you know. Big Al, you know who you are.
Tuesday nights,
yep. But that's going to change again. I'm going to change how the whole thing works.
Do you want to do a little plug? Where do people find you? How do they get involved in it?
Best way to get involved is to either come see me at Wettie, or join my Facebook page, which is Learn to Spearfish on Facebook.
Okay.
And that's for the charters as well, to link up for charters?
Yep, or just find me and send me a message.
Okay.
Jeremy Wayne Viall.
Wicked.
We are both planning on coming on another Great Barrier Island charter as soon as we can.
Actually, yeah, we were just talking about that. That's one of the first trips that we ever did, and how we actually met some of our best friends. So, yeah, it's a really cool way to bring people together. Yeah,
especially other people who maybe either don't have their own boat or don't have other people to dive with, so you can all jam together on a boat and make some lifelong Spearo friends. And we touched on this a little bit before, that one of your reasons that you enjoy and why you do go diving is obviously to like put food on the table, and me and Elise are both very similar. Like very recently I had an empty freezer. It was the first time since I started spearfishing, but my goal is to, like you with deer stalking as well, to kind of just use your own venison and your own fish and stuff. But we know that you are a very talented man in the kitchen as well.
I do love eating fish, but man, I just do love just shooting them as well.
It isn't about you. Shooting fish is great.
Just anyway.
But yeah, tell us a little bit about like the kinds of flavours or meals that you like to make, or why it is that you also really enjoy expressing yourself with your culinary skills.
Well, my wife is a really talented artist. And so I always say, well, I'm not an artist at all, but it's probably not quite true, because there are different forms of it. So when I got into like presentation of stuff when I was butchering, because when you're a butcher, you have to cut your window display. The better your window display looks, the more people buy from it. So, you know, and I was particularly good at dressing windows of meat and stuff in the butchery. That sort of led on to, you know, how to present, you know, things properly. But I also think it's a mark of respect for for the animals that you're taking their life. So if you're not going to give it your full attention and
Honour it.
The right way, I just don't think that's the right thing to do. So I try to use as much of the animal, be it four-legged or fish or whatever, as I can. So I make all my own stocks and stuff from the bones.
Yeah.
We don't tend to eat too much of the internal organs of fish, but we eat, of the game animals, the liver and kidneys and all that sort of stuff, heart. My middle girl is a bit of a savage, so she'll quite happily, I have to at least, if I'm smoking fish, I have to at least smoke a couple of fish heads for her, because she eats the eyes, the brain.
Really?
Yeah,
Really?
she eats the whole
Okay.
thing.
Get it, girl.
She is not squeamish about any of that stuff. She's
She's just
into
like,
it.
yum.
Give me the nutrients.
Yep, she's just into it. So I really try to make an effort to use, as much of the fish as possible, and then honour it in the best way possible by cooking it really well, and then when you cook it, present it really well on the plate when you're serving it as well. I don't just, it sounds like I'm tooting my own horn, but I don't just cook like that for people. I cook like that for my family as well.
Yeah.
So I don't just dress plates and make them look really nice for when I've got guests coming around. That's how we eat at home. Everybody's plate will look the same.
I love that. Do it for the kids, do it for your wife, not just the visitors.
Yeah, and
cool.
it's I guess my way of showing my love and appreciation for my family and my guests and stuff like that is to cook it really well and present it really well. Because if it is a labour of love when you're cooking something. There's a bit of your soul that goes into everything that you make. And then in terms of flavours, that just came through a lot of experimentation. I like experimenting with stuff, and so over time I've got a pretty good palate and a pretty good understanding of what spices and what combinations of things go really well. But you start with a base, with your cooking seafood, lemon, garlic, butter, salt, pepper, you can't go wrong.
Yeah.
And then you can build from there with various other things you want to put in there.
That's the kind of stuff that I still am learning. There's all sorts of things you can put with fish that you just think, we can start off with. I don't know. But most people just start with the panko.
Yep.
Let's be real. But it's tried and true. But then being able to further into different flavours, like being able to use coconut yogurt and I don't know, just different things to make it taste really good.
I love Japanese and Asian style cuisine, so I incorporate a lot of that into what I make.
Yeah.
And then do that sort of fusion stuff, making poke nachos,
which actually chopped
amazing
herbs and things.
Yeah.
So I remember that specifically
that
because not
too.
everyone bothers to sort of cut things up and
Add
stir
the
them through.
extras.
But you say, it's not only for flavour, but it looks really
really nice. Colour.
Yeah. Colour.
Colour. You've got to have lots of colour in your food. Because one, it's good for you, and two, it just looks really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So have you got a favourite fish to hunt and eat? And how would you prepare it?
Well, my favourite fish to hunt is probably snapper. I love hunting snapper.
Yeah.
But my favourite fish to shoot and eat is a toss-up between kingfish and boarfish, probably. I really love giant
Toss up
boarfish.
between boarfish and kingfish.
Yeah.
Okay.
Giant boarfish I reckon giant boarfish is probably the best eating fish we have in New Zealand.
Okay. Tell us how you cook that, because I need a, I made it. It was nice, but I don't know. How did you eat it?
Didn't rate it?
Well, no, I love raw fishes.
Right.
Normally.
Not great. I don't think it's great as
raw.
sashimi.
Yeah. But I just cooked it bad. I didn't do it justice. I need to know a recipe.
Look, the only way I do a lot of your white fleshed fish is actually, ironically, what you said. So panko crumbed it and fried it up. That's really good. And panko crumbing fish is a good way to get good at cooking fish, because the crumbs tell you when it's cooked.
Okay.
Right? So when the crumbs are the right colour.
So not meant to be black and smoky.
That's
If
clever.
it's smoking. So if it's on fire, it's probably
done. Scrape them off like toast.
but you get to understand what the texture of it should be like.
Okay.
Right, and so then you can go from there. But I just find giant boarfish has got its own kind of flavour to it that I really, really enjoy. And
Because they're out feeding the worms.
yeah,
Okay.
that's right. But kingfish is probably my overall favourite, just because you can shoot one fish and make 20 different things from it, and
Yeah.
all of them are going to be awesome.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree
You
with
know,
that.
you can make curries out of it. You can make, obviously, sashimi from it. You can cook it, and it's still amazing as just
Fried,
cooked
curry.
fried fish.
Yeah.
Seared, tataki, the list is endless of what you can do with kingfish. And they're big, so you can shoot a 15-kilo kingfish, and that'll feed my family, for nearly a week.
Yeah.
We can eat that thing.
Yeah.
And have a bunch of different style meals off it, So, yeah, kingfish is probably my favourite. And they fight hard, and they look cool, and, there's
They
all that
do.
as well.
They are so fun to
Yeah,
shoot.
they're very fun to shoot.
Let's be real. I mean,
And, if we're on that tangent, they also grow really fast, so you don't have to feel as bad about it.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Yep, that's right.
yeah, that's true. Yeah,
And if you stuff your shot up, they kind of recover pretty well as well. They're
yeah.
pretty tough.
They are tough. I've seen a few actually swimming around with a few
Healed up
different wild-looking wounds. I'm like, wow, you've had a little run-in before. I think. Oh no, that was a different animal. Yeah, there were kingfish there. When we were down on the reef in Penguin Shoals, there was like a whole bunch of kingies around, but like also a shark with a shaft sticking out of its
Oh, really?
mouth.
Jesus.
So it looks like it had gone in and tried to eat one of the kingfish and got it stuck or something. But anyway, it's just wild what you see
Yeah.
that fish can survive with.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Well, we have a bit of a weird section here. It's called the ick section. If you've ever heard anyone talking about icks.
I've heard you guys.
Yeah, pet peeves.
It's
So,
only 2000s of us now. Is that what the
Yeah.
cool kids call it
Ah,
these
who,
days?
who cares? We're not
They've
cool.
moved on. We're old.
Elisa's on the
We're
TikTok.
old
She's
as
cool. I'm
shit.
not cool. Yeah, so basically, what if you had to, and you don't have to name names like we do when we joke around about it, but basically, your biggest pet peeves when you're spearing in the water or on the boat. It could be when you're running charters, it could be, some people you spear with.
I already touched base on it, and it's just the people that don't listen.
Yeah.
There's nothing more frustrating, especially when you're trying to help people. And they just, you go, hop, right, we're all going to hop in the water, we're going to swim in that direction, we've got to go up current, and you hit the water, and you get to where you're supposed to be going, and there's nobody there. And they're all behind the boat. And then the kingfish turn up. And you're like, oh, well, I guess I'll shoot one.
Right,
Yeah.
set you up on it.
I think there's one thing that's more frustrating than someone that doesn't listen. Is someone that doesn't listen, doesn't know, and then tells you how to do it. It's just completely wrong.
Yeah.
You're like,
Yeah.
oh, with a smile, like, okay, how's it working out?
But not listening is a real big one. It's especially when you're trying to help people.
Yeah.
Like if I just say, hey, if you go that way, you'll get something, I'm not invested in it, and the person doesn't do it, I'll be like, oh, I'll go that way.
Even if I'm not a new person, right? Like even if you're just diving with someone else, and it often is like with kingies, and it better teamwork than say if you're snappering. Like it's pretty annoying even if you're with someone who's experienced. If they don't listen too, if it's unsafe.
Give me a second
or-
shot. No, your shot's good, and then your spear pulls out.
Yeah.
You're like, awesome, thanks for that, man. That was really good of you to not second shoot that when I asked you
Or
to.
guns unloaded and you're trying to tell them there's a massive
Yeah.
school of kingies behind them or something,
Yeah.
and they're too prideful to realise you're just trying to pass on.
Yeah.
Info.
Yeah.
Had that happen before.
Yeah. Yeah, so
Yes.
that would be it. I think would be just that whole not listening, or paying attention.
Yeah, not being aware of surroundings sort of
Yeah.
thing. Nice.
There's a lot you can learn when you listen, isn't there?
It's amazing what you can learn. Yeah.
Do you have any dive day rituals?
Sort of. I never thought of it as a ritual, but I guess it kind of is. Sort of. So I drink a lot of water because I, oddly enough, for somebody who's been doing this for nearly 40 years, I really struggle with equalising. And that, I have a whole range of stuff like Flixinays. I have Krolls. Krolls, I don't even know if that's the right way to say it. Lozenges. Which is,
Lozenges help. 'Cause
they're like a
equalising
super strong
issues,
menthol.
basically.
They taste awful, but
Okay.
they do a good job of clearing your sinuses out. And then drinking a lot of fluid. I don't eat when I dive. like at all.
Yes, that I do know that
even the
about
morning
you.
of, or just during?
No,
Not at all.
nothing at all.
All day.
There'll be delicious food all across the table, and you'll be like, no.
Yeah. It's the one time where I have self-control when it comes to food, is when I'm diving. I just won't eat it.
When do you start drinking water beforehand? Sorry, I just totally
As soon as I wake up.
Same day or day before?
Oh, day before, yeah. And like, I used to, I'm a little bit more flexible with it, but I usually will eat like something like chicken, broccoli, and like rice for
Something
dinner
light.
the night before. Something that's
Protein,
easily
carbs,
digestible, protein, carbs, vegetables.
Okay.
And then start drinking just water, you know.
Okay.
And I usually try and eat early. Like, I eat quite late normally at home. We'd eat dinner normally 7 or 8 o'clock, but if I'm diving, then I'll try and eat at 6.
Okay.
And then that'll be me until whenever I finish diving.
Yeah.
For the next day. And I just find, I mean, I'm a bigger fella at the moment, so you know, I just don't tend to get hungry during the day, and I don't tend to run out of energy.
Yeah.
I've got reasonable reserves, and I've just built up a tolerance to not eating when I'm diving. I certainly am tired at the end of the day. You do feel it, but I think I dive better, and you don't need to go to the toilet, which is really quite useful during the day's diving.
That's ideal. Yeah.
Not having to very speedily get out of your wetsuit is quite useful.
I've still never popped that cherry. I've never had to do that. So
you know what?
Long may it continue.
You know what? As a grown up, if you haven't crapped your pants, it's not if, it's when, Laura.
Coming from someone with experience there.
You know. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, and like, do you do just water or electrolytes or?
Just water. Oh no, water and Powerade.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, if it works for you and that's your thing, you keep on doing it, right? Because it's like, as soon as people change their little routines, I'm the same with my equalising. Like, other people might be able to have a couple of beers and a pie in the morning and a coffee. I've got to be doing certain things for 2 or 3 days beforehand, including nose sprays, and have to have ridiculous amounts of water. I have to be really careful what I do eat, all that kind of stuff. And I guess it's just everyone's bodies work differently. And
I've had the odd day where, like, even on like some of my trips, you know, you're cooking bacon and eggs for people for breakfast. You're like, oh man, geez, maybe I'll just have one piece of bacon, and I just get reflux.
Yeah.
You know, horrible reflux. So just not worth it.
Not worth it. Well, in terms of tips then, if you could go back and give yourself, when you started spearing, a tip, or even just anyone you deal with now who's new, what tip would you give? One really relevant one, or a couple?
It's probably the same tip that I've always given, which is look after your gear. Look after your equipment. Make sure that your rubbers are good.
Yeah.
Make sure that your mono or your string attaching your spear to your gun is good. Make sure your spear is straight. Make sure that it is sharp. All of that sort of stuff. You know, I guide a lot of people. I see a lot of gear in varying stages of disrepair coming onto the boat, and I see directly how that affects success. Can almost guarantee the fellow who's got the rattiest old rubbers and the bluntest spear on the boat will be the one who will punch a spear into a big king and it'll pull back out again because it doesn't have the sharpness or the power to punch through.
Yeah.
It's almost inevitable that that's what's going to happen. So I always am, you know, going back to what you said about pre-dive rituals, you know, particularly in summertime, I restring my gun before every trip. I sharpen my spear. I make sure that it's straight. Like, if my spear is bent, and I have the advantage of working at Wettie, so it doesn't maybe cost me quite as much to change my gear, but if my spear has been bent and I have straightened it and it's happened on a trip, I'll use it for the duration of that trip, and then that spear is done.
Okay.
And I will get a new one.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Because you don't know what's going to happen when you get into the water. You could hop into the water and have a marlin swim up to you. And the last thing you want to be thinking when you stuck a spear in a marlin is, geez, I haven't changed my string for 6 months. I hope it holds. You know, like that's not what you want to be thinking when you've just shot the fish of a lifetime. You want to be knowing that everything's in tip-top nick. And aside from maybe changing the shaft out, all of that other stuff is reasonably inexpensive when you look at the cost of a day's diving.
Yeah.
You know, restringing your gun and changing your rubbers. Now, I don't change my rubbers every dive. I do that every sort of 3 or 4 months to make sure that they're good. Because your rubbers, you don't notice it, but they do degrade quite a bit over time. And they do lose, especially if you dive a lot, they will lose power.
And every time that they are stretched out and then the actual shots, like the force and the heat that is made through that, it definitely makes lots of little tiny.
Even the sun, like I've had my gun upkept by you guys right up until I left Auckland in December, and Elise has done things to it, and I always was kind of a bit like, oh yeah, this is just what everybody does. And then the last 2 months I've done absolutely nothing to it. My gun has water in it.
She's been left on her own.
It's like blunt, and I was showing someone my gun the other day, and I was like, oh, look at the state of it. Oh, and I've definitely been like missing fish because of it, and like, you know, it's just been, I noticed now, and someone's like, what are you talking about? Your gun's all good? And I'm like, if you knew what my gun used to look like when I used to go to Wettie pretty much rocking every 4 weeks and be like, Jeremy, can you just sort this out? And it does make a difference.
It makes a massive difference.
Yeah.
You know? Just your Spear's ability to punch through fish and all of that sort of stuff. So looking after your kit is really, really important. And then making sure that you've got, you know, the right gear for what you're doing. So, you know, like I used to just have a 5mm wetsuit, you know, and I would get, even when I was working at Wettie, I just had a 5mm wetsuit, but it'd overheat in summertime, you know, and so you get too hot, then you can't dive properly. Or you get a bit cold in wintertime. You get too cold, guess what you can't do? Dive properly.
Yeah.
So, you know, I've got a 7mm jacket and I've got a 3mm suit now, and so you can chop and change for the seasons, and all of that stuff makes a massive difference to your ability to dive well.
Yeah.
You know, the more comfortable you are, the better your gear. Your gear don't have to have the flashiest gear, but the better your gear is looked after, it's going to lead to success.
Yeah. Totally. When you sharpen your tips, do you do a little try tip, or because sometimes I sharpen mine. I've got like this nice like kind of grinder. The old school one sits on the bench. Probably looks exactly the same as Wettie's, but you know, I think I'm going to go sharpen a nice try tip, and I end up with like a 5 tip. You got any tips? Tips for the tips.
Yeah, I always do a tri-tip. To be honest, you know, if I tell the honest truth, it's taken me a long time to master cutting a tri-tip into a spear. And it's no different to sharpening a knife. It's about consistent angle. And yeah, you've got to, you probably have to hold it for longer than you think.
Okay.
Right? So, or having, and tell you what we've done recently at work is we've gone to forgive me, those that are in the trade and know the terminology, but a grittier sandpaper on our belt sander, and that has made a world of difference, because we used to use quite a fine grit, and now we've gone to coarse grit on our sandpaper.
Do you coarse grit it and then fine grit it?
Not that flash.
Okay, just thinking about when I do my nails. It's the same.
No, just on the coarser grit, and that's made a real big difference. Your spear, I guess, because it's not in contact for so long, doesn't get as hot, which is also good. But it also just seems to do a better job. So, yeah.
Okay.
Tri-tip all the way, because it's a cutting tip. So, you know, when you're hitting scales and things like that, it cuts through better.
Okay, well, that's interesting. I have kind of always wondered if there was like a sneaky way that you're supposed to do things.
I reckon the conical tip doesn't get blunt as easy.
Conical tip.
So a rounded tip?
Rounded tip.
Doesn't get blunt as easy. I don't think, anyway.
All right.
I think a tri-tip probably gets blunter a bit easier if you're hitting rocks.
Yeah, that's
but
the
when
key.
it's sharp, it's definitely better.
But when it's
so
sharp,
many
it's
rocks.
definitely better. Yeah, that is correct. Yeah.
Not hurt fish by blunt force trauma.
Yeah.
Have you got any upcoming trips or adventures or things in your life that you'd like to chat about?
Upcoming trips. My sort of next planned excursion into the water won't be until October.
Okay.
Because I'm having bariatric surgery in a few weeks.
Oh, exciting.
So I'll be half the man I am.
Hell yeah.
Well, maybe not quite half, but, you know, I'll be a smaller version of myself.
Yeah.
So that's going to take a little while to heal up from.
Yeah.
And the outpouring from the community on that's been massive. So we did a bit of crowdfunding to raise some money for that, and that's just been, the show of support's been huge. So I'll take the opportunity while I'm here to thank everybody for that, because it's been pretty humbling.
Wow, you're a very loved member of the spearfishing community, and I think everyone's stoked to be able to help in any way.
And you've given a lot of time to other people, so the least people can do is support you for something that's
that
All
you
your
want to do.
well-being and
Still means a lot, though, you know. So, you know, if you haven't heard it from me before, it's been massive. It's been meant a lot. So I'm looking forward to getting that behind me and seeing how that goes.
How do you think that will, I know it'll impact like your whole life, but how do you think that will impact your diving in particular? Apart from the fact that it'll be hard when you first go back to sort of get back into it.
Yeah, I don't know, to be honest with you, because like it's going to change my digestive system and how all that stuff works, and I don't know whether I'm going to be able to not eat when I go diving anymore. So yeah, that's going to change all of that sort of stuff. Outside of that, I mean, just general fitness, you know. I definitely notice a difference between how I dive when I'm fit and when I'm not. So yeah, I'll be able to wear a smaller wetsuit. So less weight, so less lead, so less weight on the back. You know,
it's always ideal.
Oh,
maybe I joke about it, you know, being a bit fat, being hydrodynamically shaped, because you know most of the big sharks have got a big fat belly on them and they rocket through the water pretty good. But you know, being a bit slimmer through the water is probably not going to
I don't know what we're going to do. You're already bloody fast. It's not fair.
But I mean, on a serious note, like I'm sure it will have huge impact on, you know, the years you get out of your daughters diving as they get older and all those kinds of things, and spending time with them and being able to
that's the motivation.
enjoy
So,
life.
you know, right now I'm healthy. Like this is it's not you know, I haven't got an underlying health issue that's driving this. It's just more that because I haven't got any underlying health issues, I want to get it done before it becomes a problem. So preemptive strike on it. You know?
Good on you.
I've tried everything to lose weight, you know, so this is the real option to make it happen. So yeah, so I'm looking forward to seeing the results and seeing how it does affect the diving and all that.
Yeah,
I'm going to feel the cold a bit more, I would imagine.
Yeah,
well, I actually feel the cold. You'd be surprised. I feel the cold pretty bad.
Really,
I'm quite temperature sensitive, as it turns out. So
you're going to need a 7 mil all year round.
Nah, maybe not all year round, but I certainly like if it's hot, I get hot.
Yeah.
If it's cold, I get cold.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of guys go, "Oh, you wouldn't need a very thick wetsuit." It's like, yeah, I wear a 7 mil jacket in wintertime, man. Yeah.
Well, we're all proud of you and we're excited for you and we're all supporting you in the background and hope that it all goes really well.
It'd be good if it went well. Yeah.
I'm sure it will. It's only going to go well.
Good on you for doing something for yourself.
Yeah. Hard out. One last thing for me is, have you got any funny days or funny moments that you've had out on the boat? You can name names if you want. Do you have any funny stories or things that you can remember?
Oh, it's just so much laughing on the boat.
I know, that's the thing. It's always such a good time, but it's like, what were we even laughing
what
at?
were we laughing about? And would anybody else understand?
Probably only Spearos. It's just because Laura mentioned about pooping herself, but she hasn't done it yet earlier. I don't know, that just made me giggle.
I have not ever,
well done,
as an adult, managed to do that.
Well,
so
that
that's
makes
a point of pride.
One of us here.
Two of us, actually.
What, that have?
That haven't.
Oh, yeah.
He said he hasn't.
Two against one. I didn't do that either. On a boat.
Yeah. Yeah. No, look, there's nothing really, honestly, that pops into my head as like a specific kind of funny moment. Okay. Just good moments, you know? Like, a lot of the stuff is just, a lot of my sort of happiness from it, like I said, comes from other people doing stuff.
Yeah.
You know, watching somebody see dolphins for the first time.
Fun moments,
man.
Funny
like,
moments.
Yeah,
Love
that's
it.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sort of stuff is what sticks with me the most.
Yeah, like joy, smiles, and laughter doesn't have to be haha.
No,
that's
dumb. That's it, right? Yeah. It's you know, and watching people, like the getting the meaning out of it. So like, going to counselling for some of my mental health stuff, and I dropped a phrase that actually came from my same mate James, who has the type 2 fun saying, which is saying is everyone's 10 is a 10. So like everyone's worst day is their worst day. Yep. Doesn't matter whether it's as bad as your worst day. Everyone's worst day is their worst day, but it's also true for everybody's best day. Right? So somebody who's just shot a red pigfish and has never shot a fish before. So I guess like the one that sticks in my mind was my last barrier trip, second to last barrier trip that I did, which was in January. We had this lovely young lady on board, and I'm not going to give her name, but she was 50-50 about even going spearfishing. I think at the start she'd wanted to go to the Poor Knights, and her dad had booked a trip to come and do the opposite with me at the barrier to go and kill stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't hear it, but Jake on board the boat was saying he heard when she shot her first fish, she shot a red pigfish. And he said you could hear her yahooing from half a K down the coast. As it just echoed off the cliffs because she was just so excited. And then she caught a cray, and that was her first cray she'd ever caught.
Yeah.
She was just amped about that. And then on the last day, we basically we devoted the whole last sort of 6 hours of the trip towards trying to get kingies. And we split the group into 3, and we dropped people off into 3 different places. And my group was unsuccessful at the first place we went. The second group was unsuccessful, but the third group had got them. And we see her swimming back to the boat, and there's this kingy tail sticking out of her float. And so I'm standing in the boat, and I just sort of go to, I said, "Hey, how'd you get on?" And she just sticks her head in, and she goes, "I shot a fucking kingy!"
Oh my goodness!
And it's just everyone's cracking up laughing. And look, it was 75.4 millimeters. You know, like it was just legal. Didn't matter.
Amazing.
Like, she was just amped about this fish. Yeah, more amped than the other guy on board who had shot his first kingy as well, which was like 17 kilos. He was really stoked, but she was just amped.
Cool.
And that moment, I never ever will forget that ever.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, that's amazing. And neither will she. She can't do that at the Poor Knights, can you?
No, that's right. Well, you can, but you get in trouble.
You get in lots of trouble.
Yeah, it's frowned upon.
Don't do that.
Don't do that at the Poor Knights.
Don't be the cool dude.
And put it on Facebook so everyone can see where you were.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought
sales and the smoky rubs go down. Whoopsies.
Like I say, smiles, joy, and laughter does not have to be funny things happening or people hurting themselves. It can be, like I say, other people's extreme elated joy at something that, you know, maybe a week ago they didn't even want to do.
Yeah, that you take for granted until you see somebody do it for the first time, and then they're just so amped by it, you know, and it just refreshes it again. You're like, that's right, that is actually really cool. Yeah, you know, to go and do that.
Yeah, it's like we were lucky enough to both get our first kingy on the same day with Darren and get it recorded and filmed and everything, and like it's so cool being able to go back and watch that because we'll have that forever.
Yeah.
And actually also just like, I mean, we didn't know each other super well back then, most of the crew, I don't know, but like still just like I think we each got a text from like everyone at Wettie.
Yeah, man.
Just being like, cool fish.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's like so unnecessary, but just so lovely and caring, and that's what I kind of just loved. I just love that about the Wettie community.
Like by anybody getting their first fish. If I see some kid on Facebook who's dropped their first king, and always going, "Hey man, well done." You know, like it's anybody who's out there and is loving the sport and is doing well in the sport. Yeah, man, absolutely.
Yeah, I love that. I just think that's so cool. Like it's so, I don't know. It's just going that little extra mile. You know, I mean, people. I think, you know, a lot of people just chuck it on Instagram and then you get 3 seconds of a something, and then it's like, well, no, actually, like, let's chat about it and have cool moments.
I did have one more little tip, which I always forget about saying, right? But, like, so this is fish-wise, right? So, snapper have been a fish, like I was saying at the start, that I really like hunting. And I've always been reasonably shit at it. But Darren... Obviously, Darren at Wettie, he's real good at it. And one of the biggest lessons I got from him about hunting snapper was when you're hunting snapper, that's what you're doing. So you can't go hunting snapper and cherry pick a couple of butterfish and a few blue mau mau and a few bits and pieces along the way. Unless you get really good at hunting snapper, in which case maybe you can start doing that sort of stuff. But if you're not that good at it, you've just got to focus on hunting snapper. Because as soon as you go, oh, that's a good butterfish, you're going to spook a big snapper. You can guarantee that's what's going to happen. So you've always got to focus on those fish. And that was a lesson I learned reasonably the hard way by when I was a young fella snooping with Darren at Great Barrier Island. and Darren had shot 2 good fish, and he handed me the gun, right, go snooping, and I'm swimming along, and next thing, the school of Kawai comes rocketing past.
Yeah.
Oh, me and Kawai's. So I shot one, and I shot at one, I actually missed. And I got a pretty good bollocking from him because apparently there was big snapper all around us that I hadn't seen. And to prove the point, Darren took the gun back off me in disgust and snooped the next rock and shot another big snapper.
Yeah.
And then we carried on swimming, and then eventually Darren gave the gun back to me, and I was like, right, okay. So I was swimming along and coming to the next point, and sure enough, school of Kauai comes rocketing past again. And I was like, nope, nope. And I could hear Darren behind me. In my head, I could hear her go, don't you dare. And got to the point, poked my head around the corner, and there's just this monster snapper just sitting there in the middle of the gut. Smacked the spear through its head, just came in just over 20 pounds.
Work it.
So that was a lesson learnt instantly, and has stuck with me forever. So if you're hunting snapper, you have to hunt snapper. You know, you can't go and get distracted by other things, as difficult as that is, because you don't know what's around that next rock or that next bit or what's coming in to have a look at you. So you've always just got to focus on it.
I really like that. That's really good.
Yep, if you're dedicated to that, do that.
Yep.
It's probably one of the only fish you can really...
Yeah, it's different if you're hunting weed edges and stuff like that, you know, then you take what comes along. But if you want to just shoot snapper, or you want to go and try and shoot big snapper particularly, you've really got to focus on what you're doing.
I like that. That's really cool. That's good.
And don't go too deep.
They don't have to go deep for snapper.
I've never ever shot a big snapper in deeper than 5 metres of water. Yeah. And the biggest one I ever shot was in less than a metre.
Good to know.
Favourite fish. So, learn to spearfish. Check it out on... not Instagram, sorry.
I am on Instagram too.
Check it out on Instagram.
Yep. Facebook.
Check it out on Facebook.
Pop in and see you at Wettie.
Pop in and see me at Wettie.
Yeah. If he's not there that day, he'll be there the next.
Yes, pretty much. Yeah, that's very accurate.
And even though we continuously pick your brain when we visit you and hang out with you, and we could probably talk to you for another hour straight, we know that you do have places to be.
Mm-hmm.
Bed.
Bed. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Jeremy.
No worries.
Appreciate it. Thanks again for listening to another episode of Spearo Diaries.
We really enjoyed our chat tonight with Jeremy. Please remember to get on our Instagram, leave a comment on Spotify, or share this episode with a Spearo friend.
And until next time,
toodles!